A phone does not damage your eyesight, but it cannot be called completely harmless either. The reason is simply not the one people write about everywhere. Blue light, which causes the most debate, is the most discussed and at the same time the least significant part of this story. The real issue is not happening inside the screen, but inside you. How long you look at something from a close distance, how rarely you blink while doing so, how close you hold your phone, and, when it comes to a child, how much time that screen prevents them from spending outdoors. Today we will talk about what screens actually do to the eyes, why blue light blocking glasses do not solve any of these problems, and when you should stop guessing and simply have your eyes checked. Let us begin with the most important thing, which almost nobody talks about. The eye is designed to switch its focus constantly. Inside it, there is a small muscle that changes the shape of the lens. When you look into the distance, it relaxes. When you look at something close, it becomes tense. This is how the eye worked for thousands of years. You looked down at your feet, lifted your head, and looked into the distance. Now look at what happens today. In the morning, the phone is in your hands. During the day, there is a monitor half a meter away. In the evening, it is the phone again. The distance barely changes for hours. The muscle remains tense and simply receives no signal to relax. This is where that familiar feeling comes from. By evening, the eyes feel heavy. And when you lift your gaze from the screen and look out of the window, everything appears slightly blurry for a few seconds. This is not a malfunction. It is a muscle that has held the same position for too long and does not relax immediately. The second issue is even simpler and even less noticeable. When a person looks attentively at a screen, they blink several times less often than usual. Even the blinks that remain often become incomplete. The eyelid does not close all the way, but blinking is not a pointless reflex. Every time you blink, the tear film is redistributed across the surface of the eye. This is an extremely thin layer that protects the eye and keeps the image clear. When you blink less often, the film is not renewed and begins to break apart. This is exactly why the eyes tend to give up closer to the evening, especially after a long day spent in front of screens. And this leads to the third and most common complaint: dryness. A feeling of sand in the eyes, burning, redness and heaviness in the eyelids. Sometimes, strangely enough, the eye begins to water instead. This is a protective reaction to dryness. Then almost the same thing always happens. The person goes to a pharmacy and buys eye drops. We have a separate video about eye drops. The link will be below this video. It explains in detail why most of them are unnecessary for most people. But something else is important here. Screen-related dryness is not a disease caused by the screen. It is the result of the fact that you have stopped blinking the way you would while talking to another person. Now comes the most important part, and this concerns children. If you have heard that screens damage children's eyesight, that is only half true, and the other half is much more interesting. The issue is not so much the screen itself, but what the screen has replaced. A child sitting with a tablet is not spending time outdoors. Daylight, not direct sunlight shining into the eyes, but ordinary outdoor light, has turned out to be one of the most significant factors affecting whether a child's myopia will progress. A child who spends at least an hour and a half to 2 hours outdoors every day, and a child who hardly ever goes outside, represent two very different situations for their eyes. In addition, children's entire lives have now shifted to close distances. The tablet, schoolwork, a book, and then the phone again. This creates a double effect, a great deal of close-up work and very little daylight. It is this combination, rather than the screen itself, that affects children's eyes the most. There are also simpler things that people underestimate. Distance. A phone is usually held about 20 centimeters from the face, even though a comfortable distance is roughly an arm's length, while a monitor should be even farther away. The closer the screen is, the greater the strain inside the eye, and the difference between 20 and 40 centimeters is enormous for the eye. Lighting. Looking at a bright screen in a dark room means forcing the eye to work with a sharp contrast, which makes it become tired more quickly. The opposite situation is no better. A screen placed against the background of a bright window with light shining from behind the monitor directly into your face. Ideally, the lighting in the room should be approximately as bright as the screen and should not shine either into your eyes or onto the back of the screen. Now let us talk about misconceptions. The first and most expensive one is blue light blocking glasses. Look at everything we discussed above: close-up focusing, reduced blinking, dryness, distance, lighting and time outdoors. Coated lenses do not solve any of these problems. The second misconception is, if my eyes do not hurt, everything must be fine. The eyes are very patient, and screen-related fatigue usually does not cause pain. Instead, it appears as difficulty coping by the end of the day, more frequent eye rubbing and more frequent squinting. The third misconception is, a screen will permanently ruin my eyesight. In an adult, a screen does not create myopia and does not change the shape of the eye. In a child, as we have discussed, the issue is the combination of close-up visual work and a lack of daylight, and this is exactly something that can be influenced. When should you see a doctor instead of searching for yet another piece of advice online? When it becomes difficult to shift your focus quickly into the distance by the end of the day. When your eyes regularly become red, burn, or feel as though there is sand in them. When you develop a headache around the forehead and temples after a working day. When you notice yourself squinting in situations where you did not squint before. And a separate point about children. If a child sits closer to the television, bends very low over a notebook, squints or rubs their eyes, this is not a whim or simply a habit. It is a reason to have their eyesight checked. Children should have their eyes checked regularly, even when they do not complain about anything. Children almost never complain because they simply do not know what good vision is supposed to look like. Therefore, if you spend many hours in front of a screen every day and your eyes begin to bother you by evening, the most sensible step is not to buy glasses with promises attached to them or use random eye drops, but to come for an examination at the Ko'z Nuri Clinic. The doctor will examine how your eyes work during close-up visual tasks, assess the condition of your tear film, and tell you directly whether everything is fine and the problem lies only in your habits, or whether there is something that should be corrected. If the issue concerns a child, this is even more important. The earlier the full picture becomes clear, the more calmly you will be able to manage their tablet use. You can always come to Ko'z Nuri for an examination, and this is certainly more useful than spending another evening wondering whether the phone is to blame or not.